Good evening, everyone. City Council and Local Redevelopment Authority board members are now in session. The time is 6 p.m. Please stand. Councilmember Ruby is going to give the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing.
Let's pray. Father God, we just thank you once again for this great city of Riverbank, the city of action. We thank you, Lord, that your hand is upon us tonight as we conduct business. Father, Lord, I just thank you, Lord, that you would help us as we continue to make Riverbank a better place. Lord, we also want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to share our thoughts and our concerns, that, Lord, we're able to, as the people of Riverbank, to share those concerns, and that, Lord, this great council and our Vice Mayor Campbell, who's sitting in as mayor tonight, that, Lord, as we conduct business, Father, that, Lord, wisdom would be on the table and we would make good decisions, Lord. We know that, God, at the end of the day, even though there may be some differences, we as a community continue to work together to make Riverbank the city that it is. And we thank you for your presence that's here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Be seated. Roll call.
Councilmember Uribe.
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez. Here. Councilmember Barbara Martinez. Here. Vice Mayor Cal Campbell.
Here. We have an agenda change that our city clerk is going to discuss.
There is a change to the approval of the March 22nd, 2022 City Council and Local Redevelopment Authority Board minutes. The amendment is to page 4 under opposition. That will be changed to read, Evelyn Halbert advised she had submitted her written comments to the city clerk and was told they would be distributed to the city council. She then questioned how garbage service providers would meet these requirements for those areas exempt from complying with SB 1383.
Thank you for taking that action. We'll now move to public comments. Excuse me. Are going to conflict of interest. I'm sorry.
Vice Mayor and Council, I do want to declare my conflict on item 11.2, the appointment of the employment agreement for myself.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to comments. Is there anyone to speak? If you do, speak podium.
Somebody has their microphone on their computer.
Testing. My name is Fred Walton. I live on Hogue Road in Modesto. Little echo there. I'm concerned about this. Can you hear me? I'm concerned about the development that might go on below, and one of the reasons is I've lived there my whole life. But we also have to testing. Sounds better. But anyways, I lived on that road my whole life, and I'm concerned about what's going on there, as any good citizen should. Progress due to population, I know, must take place. But as I'm hoping it can stay a farm, it's a big unit, it's profitable. But if development must take place there, I think that the plan that is proposed may not fit that area. One being the river. I think more protection needs to be around the river, more green belt. 2, the river bottom, it's a high-density development down in that bottom, that river bottom, and I think it should be low density if it's to be developed, more like ranchettes or something like that. Thirdly, you have the beautiful bluffs that surround it. There's not many bluffs in Stanislaus County or Modesto. And as you saw at Wide Cliff and Del Rio, bluffs are used for nice estates because there's few of them around, and I think that the geography should suit the development. Not that Section 8 is not important or high density, but I just don't think it's in that area. And then behind the bluffs on the upper land, should one continue with Park Ridge, that type of development in Del Rio, what they have there. My other concerns are the traffic that it might enhance, the sewer problem, flooding. And that has to be taken into a big concern on what kind of development is going to be there if there's going to be a development. And lastly, I always challenge all of you because we want to get ahead of the game here. We don't want to get behind, and we want to make a correct decision for that property if it comes up. How many have you driven down and seen that ranch, the river bottom, and got a good feel for it? It's very important that you guys do your homework so that good judgment can be made. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just made a mistake, and so I'm going to correct it. I should have read another part before the people came up to speak, so I'm going to do that to correct it. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council LRA Board. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, or as stated by the presiding officer, and time cannot be yielded to another person. Under state law, matters presented during the public comment period cannot be discussed or acted upon. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to come up and speak? We are then going to move into item 8.1, presentation, proclamation, Golden Valley Health Center, 50th year anniversary. And I'm going to present Golden Valley Health Center with a proclamation honoring their 50th anniversary. And I believe, help me say this if I mess up, Yamilet Valadolid. Is she here? Would you step up?
And Vice Mayor, we also have Amy Carroll, who's the Chief of Communications with Golden Valley, who will be attending as well.
Excellent. Ladies, welcome for the anniversary, and I have something that I'm going to read. Did I read it up here or down there? Okay. City Riverbank honoring Golden Valley Health Centers on their 50th anniversary. Whereas for 50 years, Golden Valley Health Centers has built a business spanning a half century around the belief that one's health is one's greatest possession. Whereas in 1972, Golden Valley Health Centers began as a small migrant health services program affiliated with Merced General Hospital. Since that time, they have expanded greatly to meet community needs across Merced, Stanislaus, and San Joaquin counties, now serving roughly 175,000 patients each year through 45 clinical locations in the region. Whereas Golden Valley Health Center can be proud of their 50-year longevity, and while that sounds like a long time in a rapidly changing world, Golden Valley Health Center's focus has not wavered since 1972. Whereas Golden Valley Health Centers was born out of a strong desire to increase access to health care in the lives of migrant workers who toil to sustain our largely agricultural economy. Whereas Golden Valley Health Center has never denied services to a patient in need and continues to improve the health of patients by providing quality primary health care services to people in the communities they serve, regardless of language, financial, or cultural barriers. Whereas Golden Valley Health Center is a fully accredited FQHC, federally qualified health center, offering quality medical, dental, behavioral health, vision, and other specialties, including urgent care and school-based health centers throughout the Central Valley. Whereas the City Council of the City of Riverbank recognizes the incredible work and dedication that Golden Valley Health Centers has shown for the health and well-being of migrant workers throughout the Central Valley over the last 50 years. Now, therefore, let it be resolved on the celebration of the organization's 50th anniversary. I, Cal Campbell, Vice Mayor of Riverbank, California, through this proclamation, do hereby honor the work of Golden Valley Health Centers, dated this 12th day of April, 2022. Give you a big hand. I'm going to present this to you, please. And would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. Campbell, and thank you, City Council. We're very proud of our longevity serving residents of Stanislaus, Merced, and San Joaquin counties, and it's only through partnerships like this one and through the support of elected officials that we're able to do what we do. So thank you for your partnership, for your continued support, and for this proclamation. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much once again.
Thank you. And congratulations to Riverbank for their 100th anniversary as well. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now proceed to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are to be acted upon by a single action of the City Council, LRA Board, unless requested by an individual council authority member or member of the public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by a motion of the City Council, LRA Board. Oops. Oh, there it is. Hold on, I got it. My notes mixed up. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to read them at this time. We waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title are waived. Item 9.1. All reading, well, I already said that. Item 9.2, approval of the March 22nd, 2022 City Council and Local Redevelopment Board minutes. Item 9.3, second reading by the title only and adoption of ordinance 2022-001, adding new chapter 54, mandatory organic waste disposal reduction ordinance to title 5, public works of the Riverbank Municipal Code of Ordinances. Adopt a resolution to approve and adopt the revised 2222 City of Riverbank Measure L expenditure plan project list. Item 9.5, a resolution authorizing the purchase of Jackson Avenue property, APN 075-005-025, and 2531 Stanislaus Street, APN 075-005-013 for $55,000 and allocating funds from the American Rescue Plan Act Fund 136 for said purchase. I'll bring this back to the council for consideration. Any comments out?
Yeah, I'd like to pull item 9.4 for further discussion.
Okay, it's been stated by Councilmember Uribe to pull item 9.4. And you'd like to discuss item 9.3? And do you want to do this at this time? Or do you want to do it at another time?
No, I can do it right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so item 9.3, I was just wondering, did we have any questions from the public regarding the item?
None that were received today. So we did receive questions at the first public hearing, at the last meeting. And so we did reach out to the resident who provided those.
Okay, thank you.
And Councilmember Uribe, do you want to wait later to do it, or do you want to discuss it now?
Yeah, I can discuss it now if you'd like. So on, I don't know if we can pull up the staff report, page 57 of the expenditure plan, just so the residents are kind of aware of what we're about to approve. I am going to make a motion to approve this resolution, but this is in regards to the roundabout at Squire Wells and where Heartland and Cottage kind of intersect, and we've been having issues with that structure there. It just got, somebody just ran into it, and it was going for repairs, and it just got hit again. So it's been hit 3 times in the last year. So we obviously got to do something about it. So the expenditure plan is asking for rapid flashing beacons. It doesn't say in the staff report that that's what it's for, but that's what it's going to be designated for. I think we got to go a little bit further, though. My opinion, though, is I think we should actually remove the structure, turn it into a 4-way, and add some more visibility to that intersection, make it a little bit safer for pedestrians to cross, right? That's what we're trying to encourage, for people to get out, walk over to Target or whatever the shopping center is, or just walk the neighborhoods in general. So I will be making a motion for 9.4, but I would like staff, I know the city engineer is already kind of looking at the plans, but hoping the council will agree that, that there is a visibility issue. One of the other things is the corners there probably have to be painted red. If you're turning out of Heartland, it's very hard to see off that bend. So we just got to do a little bit more specifically for that intersection. That's all I have to say for that.
Okay.
And I'll make a motion to approve it if whenever you're ready.
I'd like to make a comment regarding that too. Marcella, do you know how long that statue has been there at that roundabout?
Since the construction of the roundabout, so definitely about 15 years.
15 years, and it's only been recently that we've been having trouble though, right?
We've had some trouble with it over the past number of years, and obviously we've seen the statue get vandalized quite a bit as well. So that does seem to be a trouble intersection for us at this time.
Right,
Okay,
I want to make
then-
a comment too.
Go ahead.
Okay, it seems like the traffic that is heading south does not stop. They do not yield for the other traffic that's coming out of Heartland or even the traffic that's coming out of the development there. So I don't know if we need more signs. Speed limit is only supposed to be, I think, 30, but people zoom and don't yield to the other cars that are in the roundabout trying to go through. So I don't know if we just need more, more signage or more lighting, but something does definitely have to be done.
Yes, so the proposal within the expenditure plan that's in front of you today does include additional signage. Most of it will be lighted signs, similar to what we have near the roundabout at Homewood and Westgate. It's the lighted sign prior to you getting to the roundabout. It does flash on a consistent basis, so that's what we're looking to install. But as Councilmember Uribe mentioned, we are looking at other alternatives because it has had some increased activity lately there.
Okay, I think we gave the public an idea that this has been not just a recent thing, that it has been happening in the past over the last 15 years. So I have to agree with Councilmember Ruby that we might have to do something more about it.
And staff will be working on that.
Are there any other comments about the consent items? Okay, I turn it over to the City Council.
So I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as stated.
I second.
It's been noted by Councilmember Uribe as a first motion for the motion, and Councilmember Martinez as a second. So let's have our vote on it.
Councilmember Uribe, I just want to clarify that you want to approve item 9.2 as amended.
That's with
Thank you.
regard to the minutes.
Right, towards the minutes.
Okay. Councilmember Uribe?
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Campbell.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
We're now going to move into public hearing. And okay. I'm going to make a statement. Public hearing regarding a resolution of the City of Riverbank City Council accepting and closing the Proposition 218 public notification and protest process as it relates to a proposed rate increase for solid waste disposal services. This is the time and place for the public hearing relating to an adjustment to residential and commercial refuse collection rates. This public hearing provides a forum for affected property owners to offer comment on the proposed rate increase. All protests to the rate increases must be submitted in writing and will be collected until the close of the public hearing. Staff will now provide with interpretation provided by Ms. Aurora Dewhurst, a general presentation regarding the proposed rate increase.
You could bring up the presentation for this item.
Shall I just go ahead and?
I need to say something? Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm ready, go ahead.
tonight we do have the the 218 public hearing for solid waste rates that have been proposed to our residents after the implementation of the solid waste study that was presented to the City Council on December 18th. So this is the final step of the discussions that the City Council has had over the course of the past year with Jilton Solid Waste in an effort to comply with the regulations established by SB 1383.
En la reunión del 14 de diciembre del 2021, el Consejo Municipal autorizó al personal de la ciudad proceder con el proceso de la Proposición 218. La audiencia pública había sido programada originalmente para el 22 de febrero de 2022, pero debido a los requisitos de aviso, la audiencia fue pospuesta hasta esta noche, la cual concluye el proceso de Proposición 218.
Just a brief history on SB 1383. That legislation is known as the Short-Lived Climate Pollutants and Organic Waste Reduction Bill, and it is intended to reduce our methane emissions at our landfills by reducing the disposal of our organic waste by 75%.
Antecedentes. Durante los últimos años, la legislatura de California ha pasado una variedad de leyes nuevas que han tenido un impacto significativo en la manera en que el residuo sólido y el reciclaje se elimina en California. La legislatura más importante y significativa es la SB 1383. Con estas nuevas propuestas se espera reducir al 75% el residuo sólido.
On March 9th, 2021, the City Council received a presentation from Jilton Solid Waste regarding proposals on how to implement this legislation here in the city of Riverbank. The two proposals discussed at that point in time included a 3-can system and a high diversion material recovery facility, also known as the MRF.
En marzo 9 del 2022, Jilton Solid Waste recibió,
there was a 3-can system discussed and a high diversion material recovery facility.
Se discutió la manera de organizar el residuo sólido en 3 diferentes maneras.
And so on August 24th, City Council directed staff to proceed with the Material Recover Facility or MRF system.
En agosto 24, el Consejo ordenó cómo ordenar nuevamente la manera en que se organiza el residuo sólido.
At that time, the City Council was also presented with the proposed monthly rate increase in order to implement this MRF system of $11.85 per month for our residential residents.
En ese tiempo, el Consejo Municipal se le presentó una propuesta del aumento de tarifa por los servicios para eliminación de residuos sólidos, siendo el costo $11.85 por casa habitacional.
And so that cost includes not just the implementation of the system itself, but compost procurement, contamination monitoring, and education and outreach.
Y ese costo de $11.85 incluye no solo la eliminación de residuos sólidos, sino también de la compost y
contamination monitoring,
el monitorear la contaminación,
and education and outreach.
y educación y también outreach, alcanzar, llegar a más personas.
And so a rate study was prepared by Bartle Wells Associates, and these were the rates that were evaluated at that point in time. So,
Gildon Solid Waste presentó unas nuevas tarifas y esas fueron las tarifas que se presentaron.
so the rates that we have in front of you now are for our residential residents.
Las tarifas que tenemos enfrente de nosotros son para el residuo sólido habitacional.
And then we have our non-residential and small business rates.
Y también tenemos las tarifas para las que no son casas habitacionales y también para pequeños negocios.
And our commercial bin rates as well. And this does include industrial locations that may also be using bins.
Y esto incluye las industrias comerciales que también van a estar usando esos botes de basura.
And so the City Council on December 14th authorized us to proceed with the Proposition 218 process to notify our residents of these proposed rate increases.
Entonces, el 14 de diciembre nosotros recibimos la autorización para presentarle al público el aumento en las tarifas para la eliminación de residuos sólidos.
Proposition 218 does require that we send a notification to all property owners no less than 45 days before the public hearing is held. Those public notices were mailed on January 6, 2022.
Y se necesita enviar el aviso antes de 45 días antes de que se publiquen las nuevas tarifas, y esto se envió el 6 de enero del 2022.
The public hearing is being held tonight with regards to the proposed rates, and we are presenting a resolution for adoption of those. Tonight's public hearing will also close out the receipt of the protest votes from our residents, and they do have until the end of tonight's public hearing on this particular item in order to present those in writing to our city clerk.
Entonces, esta noche se cierra este asunto y las personas tienen hasta que se termine la reunión para presentar por escrito sus quejas que tengan, ¿verdad? O lo que quieran presentar, lo pueden hacer antes de que se termine esta audiencia el día de hoy.
should the rates be adopted tonight, those would be implemented on May 1st, 2022.
Si se acepta el aumento de las tarifas serán implantadas en mayo del 2022.
And so tonight, we do ask the City Council to accept public testimony.
Entonces le pedimos al Consejo Municipal aceptar los testimonios públicos.
Protests must be received in writing before the closing of the public hearing.
Y las protestas deben de ser presentadas por escrito antes de que se cierre la audiencia.
The city clerk will be providing us with the final count of the protests, and that will include any protests received tonight. As of the writing of the staff report, we had received 98 protests.
Y entonces la administradora de la ciudad nos va a presentar hoy las protestas, ¿verdad?, que se presenten por escrito esta noche.
If less than 50% plus one of the protests are received, then council may proceed with acceptance and closing of the Proposition 218 hearing.
Si se recibe un 50% más uno, entonces el Consejo Municipal puede aceptar estos cambios.
Maricela, if you can clarify that 50% plus one, is that households or is that population?
That is households, property owners. If 50% plus one protests are received, then no action can be taken and the rates cannot be implemented.
Entonces, si no se recibe el número dicho anteriormente, por las protestas por escrito, entonces no se puede modificar la tarifa propuesta.
And so that does end my staff report for tonight, and I am available for any questions you may have.
Y concluye mi reporte de esta noche y estoy disponible para cualquier pregunta, comentario que tengan.
Okay, I would like to thank Ms. Aurora Dewhurst for her interpretation of Spanish, so people out there understand that they're speaking the language. And I also want to thank our city manager, our assistant city manager, Maricela, for the wonderful job she did also. It's time to take a testimony. Oh, can you hear me? Okay, I just wondered, it didn't seem to be working right. It is time to take a testimony from the public. I would request that each person who speaks give his name and address and state whether he is the owner of property affected by the proposed rate increase. Are there any people that, is there anyone that wants to step up and talk? Again, is there anyone wishing to speak?
I don't see anyone wishing to speak on Zoom.
Okay. Nobody on Zoom either?
No.
Good. We go ahead, Maricela?
Yes, you can
Okay.
proceed.
I would now ask staff to provide the final protest count of affected property owners, if any.
The final protest count remains at 98.
Discussing and proceeding, any changes or modifications as appropriate, and explanation of the alternates available. We have someone okay. We have someone to speak on Zoom. Can we go ahead and listen to them? They just hung up. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So I would like the city council to take a look at it, if they want any more discussion. If not, we okay, Tom? Okay.
I was kind of hesitant. I was kind of pausing to see if maybe they jump back on, just because you never know with technology. So I'll make a motion to approve item 10.1.
Prior to that, Mayor, if you can make the official statement that you're closing the public hearing?
I am closing the public hearing at this time.
I will second.
Councilmember Uribe gave us the first, and Councilmember
Looks like there's our
Hernandez.
public comment.
We have something going on? Okay.
Hello?
Hi.
You're with the city council. Hello? I'm hearing double, yeah. Who am I?
Everyone, this is Maricela, the city council.
Okay, I'm just getting a lot of echoes.
We're not hearing any echoes on our end, if you'd like to proceed.
Everybody's talking.
Your TV or your, if you have that,
Everything is muted and off. I'll try one more time. I am protesting it. I still not got any answer, any comments back from the last time that I sent in written ones. I think there's too many exemptions and waivers. It's totally unfair to the ones that cannot apply for those. There's a whole lot of things wrong with this, so I'm totally protesting it. The other question I want to ask you is on the fourth item of this thing that you're approving that has to do with executing the agreement, franchise agreement. There's no franchise agreement attached to that. And I was wondering why you were approving something that isn't even there. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn.
So council, and just to answer the question regarding the franchise agreement, the city council actually considered that back on September 28th, and it has been approved, and it is pending approval of the rates tonight.
Okay, we've got a motion. Should we continue with that motion? Let's call for a vote then.
Councilmember Uribe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor
Yes.
Campbell? The motion passes 4-0.
So the motion has favored it. And I'm going to read now. Adopt the resolution of the city. Am I right? Am I in the right spot? Okay. Adopt the resolution of the City of Riverbank City Council accepting and closing the Proposition 218 public notification and protest process as it relates to a proposed rate increase for solid waste disposal services.
Vice Mayor, it was the statement below that you wanted to make,
So
the second resolution.
the record owners? Oh, the adopt the resolution? Okay.
Correct.
Number 2, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Adopt the resolution of the City of Riverbank City Council adopting the revised rates for the solid waste disposal services and authorizing the mayor to execute the franchise agreements with the Yelton Solid Waste Management Incorporated. And I believe we're finished?
And you'd like to call for a motion?
Okay, I'm going to call for a motion on the resolution.
I'd like to, make a motion that we adopt the rates.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Martinez and a second by Councilmember Uribe.
Yes.
Okay, and so we will take a vote.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez?
Yes.
Councilmember Uribe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
City manager, not city manager, but, yeah, city manager. Can we just also, sorry, too many titles around here. Can we just also, clarify for, the public that there are, separate, not, a discounted program for those that are seniors and,
Correct.
permanently disabled?
We currently do have a senior discount program which applies to seniors who are over the age of 65 and also those who are considered permanently disabled. And just for the city council's information, we will be making modification to that particular discount rate just so that it's consistent with our water and sewer discount program.
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure that the public understood that we do have a special program in place, or will be.
Okay, I'm going to move into item 10.2. Adopt a resolution authorizing 13.4% inflationary adjustment increase to the City of Riverbank system development fees based on the construction cost index to be effective May 1st, 2022. Our city manager will introduce the item.
Tammy Alcantor, our Assistant Finance Director, will be providing the staff report on this item.
Good evening.
It's on now? Okay, thank you. So before you tonight is, as you stated, the system development fees. And just a little background on those. System development fees are defined as a charge by a local government agency to help fund and pay for the construction as needed, as construction or needed expansion of infrastructure and improvements as related to new development. So the purpose of these fees are to defray all or a portion of the cost of public facilities related to the development of a project. So last comprehensive fee update that we did was in April of 2018 with the effective date of June 23rd of 2018. Resolution 2015-21 adopted the system development fees and authorized an inflationary adjustment based on the construction cost index by city, published by the Engineering News Record, NER. Based on DGS California Construction Cost Index produced by NER for 2021, the annual CCI for California is 13.4%. So before you are the proposed fee levels for residential, and then for our non-residential developments. And then I've also provided you with what the increase per land use is. And I know this is a large increase. We have missed, this was just for the 2021 inflation increase. We didn't do these increases in 2019, 2020, so we did miss a couple of years of that. So before you tonight, the staff is recommending that the City Council consider adopting a resolution authorizing this 13.4 inflation increase to the 2018 system development fees. And I'm available to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from anyone? If not, then I will bring this back to council for any questions or comments.
I have no questions or comments, so I'll go ahead and make a motion. So I'll make a motion to approve item 10.2.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilmember Uribe and a second by Councilmember Martinez to vote on the item.
Councilmember Uribe?
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Yes.
Motion passes
Motion passes.
4-0.
Now it's a public hearing, right? Okay. I now open the public hearing.
Vice Mayor, that was for item 10.2. We're moving to item 10.3.
Okay. Wrong page. Colorblind. Thank you. Okay. And we could accept comments from the public, though, right? Or are we done?
We're
Yeah.
beginning, correct, if you want to read the title of that. 10.3.
10.3. First reading by title only and introduction of a proposal ordinance amending Title 15, land usage by repealing in their entirety sections 153, 153.215, zoning permits 153.216, use permits 153.217, variance 153.218, appeals, and 153.219, mobile home permits, and substitution them with new sections and adding new section 1.153.210 through 153.214. Maricela is going to introduce the item.
And we have Donna Kenny, Planning and Building Manager, who will be presenting this item.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and City Council members. This item is coming out of our SB2 grant projects. And the purpose of that grant is to streamline housing production. And so by amending these sections, it will give further clarification to the public and developers as to what we expect them to submit to us and how these applications will be processed. And tonight's presentation will be by Mr. David Niskanen of J.B. Anderson Land Use Planning, and they are our consultants on the SB2 grant.
Thank you, Donna. David Niskanen, J.B. Anderson Planning, 139 South Stockton Avenue in Ripon. And tonight's presentation will be about a zoning ordinance amendment for the administrative procedures that the city currently has, and we're just updating them. Next slide, please. Oh. Oh, okay. I think it's... Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not switching over. Okay, once the slides move, I'll continue my presentation. Okay, try this. Oh, perfect. Now it's working. Okay, as Donna stated, this is a staff-initiated code amendment to the Riverbank Municipal Code to update the city's administrative procedures relating to processing entitlement applications. And this work is done under the Senate Bill 2 grant application. There's really two parts to the zoning ordinance amendment. One is to repeal the existing sections in the city's existing administrative procedures. That's section 153.215 through 219. These sections include administrative procedures, but what we are doing is really refreshing the city's existing procedures, including use permit, adding an architectural site plan review section, which the city does not currently have in the zoning ordinance, and then updating the variance and appeals section. The next portion of the amendment would add the following sections to the Riverbank Municipal Code, sections 210 through 214. These sections are related to the required submittals for applications, required supplemental information, such as location map, site plan, and such. and then also including public hearing notice requirements in one single section that we can refer back to as we go and discuss the processing procedures for specific applications. Just to give you a little background, just the purpose of updating the administrative procedures is to streamline entitlement applications. These are what in the planning profession we call our toolbox. We always refer back to the zoning code for anything from development standards to processing procedures for entitlement applications. So if we have any questions, we just refer back to like the site plan review section, and it goes into detail of what those procedures should be as far as whether it requires public hearing notice, what's required for the submittal of the application, things of that nature. And I'll do just a quick summary of the code amendments. The first section, 210 through 213, related to purpose, permits, general application, and supporting information. These provide the purpose of the administrative procedures as well as what's required for application and submittal information. City already maintains applications on the website and handouts on what's required, but by codifying them and updating them, we kind of just give a kind of a big refresh on what's required for today's applications. There also is associated fees to the entitlement applications, which we maintain in this zoning ordinance. The next is review procedure and public hearing notice. Generally speaking, the review procedure is the steps that staff take to review and process entitlement applications, whether it be a site plan review, architectural site plan review, conditional use permit, a variance, and things of those nature, as well as the processing to get to planning commission, or if it requires planning commission recommendation into city council. The next is the public hearing notice. We refer back to state law because there's really well-documented public noticing requirements for specific actions that planning commission or council take. So by just codifying the reference, we can easily refer back to it as we get into the specific sections of specific entitlements. As an example, the use permit, the city already had a use permit section, but what we found when reviewing it is that it didn't have a clear list of findings. The findings were kind of in a paragraph, so what we did was update those to kind of current standards. As you know, use permits are required for special uses in the zoning code. A common reference is like a bar or something that we have to pay special close attention to how it affects the neighborhood, and the findings are related to those uses, related to public health, safety, and welfare specifically. Then we added a new section called architectural site plan review, and this is for proposed projects that are consistent with the uses permitted in the zoning code, but we still have to go through a process to make sure it meets the setback requirements, development standards, where the building's located, off-street parking and such like that. And then there's findings that we included as part of this zoning amendment, but they're not as use related as a conditional use permit. They're more, does it meet city standards? Does it meet general plan intent and general plan policy and things of that nature? The next is the variance. A variance is a special request that the city is to waive or alter one or more specific development standards. The common example is a lot that is awkwardly shaped or irregularly shaped, and they can't meet the setbacks that other developments in the area enjoy. So that's the example of a variance. But this section includes detailed processing procedures as well as findings that Planning Commission have to make to accept that request. The next is the appeal section. The city already had a lot of appeal language, but it was kind of scattered. So what we did was we combined it into one section so it's all in one place, and then also include very clear tables that show who's the approving authority for each type of entitlement application and where, if an appeal is filed, where that goes. So if a planning commission decision is made, there's an appeal procedure for that project to go to council for your review and consideration, as well as the community development director decision going to planning commission. Now, with every project, we have to review it against CEQA because this is a zoning amendment for administrative procedures not related to any development application or development of the site. We're recommending council exempt the project under the common sense exemption. And we had a public hearing on March 15th with the Planning Commission, and they voted 4-0, recommending approval of the draft ordinance. And our recommendation tonight, as well as Planning Commission, is for council to approve the ordinance amending the Riverbank Municipal Code, repealing sections 153215 through sections 153219, as well as, and substituting them with new sections, and then adding new sections 153210 through 214. And myself, I'm available to answer any questions, as well as, of course, Donna. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this sort of cleaning up some of the areas in this particular area so it's easier for the public to get things done?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. Any other questions?
No questions, just a quick comment. I think it's probably important that we kind of streamline this whole thing with all the housing development that we have going on both sides of the city. So I'm sure this streamlined process is welcomed by the developers and staff probably. So I'm fully supportive of the ordinance. Thank you.
Any other questions on the council? Okay. I now open the public hearing. Any comments from the public? There are no comments. Then what I will do now is I will now close the public hearing and bring back to council for further discussion or a motion.
Make a motion, we approve item 10.3.
And I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Martinez and a second from Councilmember Hernandez. Let's take our vote.
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-0.
thank you. At this time, we're going to move on to new business. We begin with item 11.1. Adopt a resolution of concurrence and support for the approval of the fiscal year 2022-2023 Annual Action Plan, AAP.
Leticia Ibanez, Housing Specialist, will be providing the staff report.
Good evening, Vice Mayor. Good evening, council members. My presentation for tonight is going to be for the fiscal year of 2022, 2023 CDBG Annual Action Plan. The action plan requirements consist of an annual review of the projects to be funded with the CDBG funds, the opportunity for the public to comment on the projects. Project funds must be spent in the areas of greater than 50% lower medium income. Before you, you'll see the area map that will consist in tract 57.92%, which falls under the income requirement threshold for CDBG funds. So for the fiscal year 22-23 annual action plan status, that would be with the Castleberg Park Trail that's located on the corner of Kentucky Street and 8th Street. The estimated cost for that project would be $110,000. In addition, with the Castleberg Park ADA improvements, same location, $25,000. Then the Pioneer Park ADA improvements, that's in the corner of First Street and High Street, with an estimated cost of $12,600. And that would be for the fiscal year carry on, that from the 2021 fiscal year, with a total of $147,600. The current status as of right now, as of today, we are currently waiting on approval from Stanislaus County. We have submitted all environmental documents and we're just waiting for them to approve so we can go ahead and proceed. For the fiscal year 22-23 annual action plan, the next project would be the water line installation. And that location is in the alley of Riverside from Corporation Yard to 4th Street. The estimated cost is $325,000. The total fiscal year 21-22 and fiscal year 22-23, with a total amount of $325,000. My recommendation for tonight for this presentation is for fiscal year 22-23 CDBG annual action plan is for allow for public comment. And number 2, consider and adopt a resolution of concurrence on the proposed project. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Then I'll bring it back to council.
So just a quick comment. So it was nice to see I know it's a different funding source, but it's nice to see that the renovations have begun over at Castlebrook Park and stuff like that. So this is, I can't wait for the improvements. They're much needed, especially the ADA access on the west side of the park. There's nothing there, just a complete sidewalk all the way across down the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of concerning about we're still kind of waiting on the county. So please keep us kind of looped in if there's anything that we can do as a council to kind of help, nudge them and stuff. We're kind of nudging them on other stuff. So we're more than willing to help out there. So
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments from council? Then we're going to take a vote.
I'll make a motion to adopt or to approve item 11.1.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been motioned by Councilmember Hernandez and second by Councilmember Uribe. Take a vote on this matter.
Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Uribe.
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, moving on. To item 11.2. Adopt a resolution approving the appointment of Maricela H. Garcia as the city manager and approving the related employment agreement. That was easy. Okay, going on. Open for discussion by the council. Did we start with that? Or?
This is the ultimate archetypical example of homegrown success, if I've ever seen it. Just glad to be here and present this. Our office prepared our standard form contract. It's a 4-year term with the 1-year renewals after that, and pretty much all the standard things you said and agreements we had with other department heads and city managers. Be happy to take any questions that you have.
Tom?
That's it.
Huh?
That's it.
Short and sweet, huh? I'd like to make a couple of comments. I've lived in Riverbank for about 36 years. Maricela was a little girl, but she's a local girl. She went through the school system here and did a lot of hard work, got a job here, started out in the recreation department, and has worked her way up to her position. So when people say that the Riverbank schools can't produce people for good jobs, they're very, very wrong, because I've sat and watched it. I think it's a pleasure that we have her, and I'll take any more comments from the council.
I can get this to work. I've already spoken at length with Maricela this morning. She has my full support, full confidence. She's going to be a rock star in different ways than Sean was. And she's already stepping up, right? So my concern was, how engaged was she going to be with the public and stuff like that. She's a rock star with the numbers and stuff like that. But she's already stepped it up, and she's putting herself out there. Sometimes it's tough to put yourself in those kind of positions, right? Like for me, it's like public speaking. Like I was terrified, but still ran, and look at me now. Like I'm still, still trying to do this. And she's already attending a ton of meetings. She's getting engaged, and I'm super proud of her. So 100% support of this.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I also would like to say I am in support of her stepping up to the position. I had a concern that this would be totally different for her, that she was going to have to step more out of her comfort zone because, she was like second in command, and there was somebody else that was, doing most of the work. But I've seen her even grow since she was starting in her interim position, and I'm just glad that she's there for us, and I'm looking forward to, a lot of success. So I appreciate her and her knowledge and, just the way that she is stepping up to be our city manager. So I appreciate her a lot.
And I just want to echo what everybody said. We knew, I think, from the beginning that she's overqualified, so it was a no-brainer, and more of us just tooting her horn the entire time for this position. So we're excited.
One other comment I'd like to make is that she has a very good sense of humor. She's always smiling, and she digs in to get the job done. I told her, and I asked the council this, I said she needed to sing us a little song if we're going to do this. I was just kidding there. Anyway, I support 100% having her, so I'd like to bring it back to the council. Public comment, excuse me. Is there any public comment? If not, then I'll bring it back to the council.
So I'll make a motion to approve item 11.2.
And I'll second.
It's been motioned by Councilmember Ruby and Councilmember Hernandez to take a vote on this matter.
Councilmember Uribe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right.
Let's embarrass her now. Totally embarrass her.
Marisela, the council took and wanted to make a notation here. Now you have to do one thing for us. Sing us a little song before you give an answer. So hit it.
Well, maybe I'll sing at last. Yeah, after working for the city for 25 years, I'm really pleased and honored to serve a city council that is so cohesive, that has provided us with the guidance that we need in order to bring our city into the next phase of our growth. And so I really appreciate all of the support that the city council has provided to me, and of course, all of the support from staff who, without them, we wouldn't be here to do all of the work that needs to get done. So thank you so much.
Well, your rhythm was a little off, but I'll accept that as a song. And Marisela, I would like to congratulate you on being our new city manager.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Want to have a picture, everyone? Come on down.
We're all friends.
Like an imposter with a name plate.
Get my glasses off. Okay, item 11.3, adopt a resolution to award and authorize the city manager to enter into professional service agreements for retainer on-call services for building inspection and plan checking services for the city of Riverbank to West Coast Consultants Incorporated, WC-3, CSG Consultants Incorporated, Four Leaf Incorporated, and Bura Veritas. I don't know if I said that right, Veritas. It is recommended the city council adopt a resolution to award and authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with each of these firms to perform on-call building inspection and plan checking services for the city of Riverbank. In addition, the resolution authorizes the city to negotiate separate contracts with these firms as needed for specific development projects.
And we have Donna Kinney, our planning and building manager, who will provide the staff report on this item.
Good evening again, council members. Vice Mayor, well, that was a hard act to follow. But speaking of moving on and having the city grow, yes, I'm asking to move forward and get some help from my building inspector. Right now, you'd mentioned we have development on the east side and west side of the city. We now have 13 active subdivisions in some phase of development, 7 commercial projects, a proposed industrial project, and numerous over-the-counter permits from the public. Our current staffing is 1 building inspector and 1.25 permit processors. So he's gone recently from a half a page of inspections every morning to 2 pages. And he's running back and forth all over the city. We need some more inspectors. I put out a request for qualifications for, as you mentioned, building inspection services and building plan check services, and I received 4 responses out of 8 agencies or groups that I reached out to. We received them, as you mentioned, from West Coast Code Consultants called WC3, CSG Consultants, Four Leaf, and Bureau Veritas. The city building inspector and I and Tammy in our finance department have worked with all 4 of these in other cities, and we find them to be very reputable firms and very responsive. So we, the committee that reviewed the applications decided to put all 4 on the list. Some of them have different specialties. For example, West Coast Code Consultants, WC3, they've pretty much reviewed everything but a nuclear power plant. Four Leaf, I know, is really into housing and subdivisions, as is CSG. And Bureau Veritas, I've worked with as a building inspectors when I worked for the city of Livingston. So the next step is to sign all on-call professional service agreement with all 4 firms. We'll be able to pick and choose and use them as needed on specific projects. And in order to do that, we would have project-specific task orders to get them matched up with the projects and their areas of expertise. So we recommend that you approve the resolution to retain the 4 firms for on-call services and plan check services, and authorize the city manager to go into contract with them, and then also authorize her to negotiate separate contracts that are project-specific as we need these agencies. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
And Mayor and City Council, just to clarify, when it comes to the day-to-day inspections, we hope that this will only be an interim solution for us through the budget process that we will be presenting to the City Council in June. We hope to be able to fund a actual building inspector position within the city to supplement our current building inspector.
We have a lack of inspectors in our county. I think you mentioned to me that even the professional private companies are having trouble finding these people. So I think this is a very good idea until that settles itself. Any other discussion?
Just a quick question about their rates. Were their rates comparable as far as, between the four? Or did it vary based on their area of expertise?
We had mentioned to them that right now the building plan check services, they get 3% of the value of their project, and they were all agreeable to that.
Any other questions? Okay, then I would like to bring this back to the council.
Make a motion, we approve item 11.3.
I'll second that motion. So we have an item that has been presented by Councilmember Martinez and the Vice Mayor. Let's take a vote.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes?
Councilmember Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Uribe.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Okay, motion passes. To item 11.4 in new business, adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a performance agreement between the City of Riverbank and Simply Divine Events, LLC, in conjunction with Simply Divine Foundation, 501c3, for the approval for the coordination of the 2022 Cheese and Wine Festival. It is recommended that City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a performance agreement between the City of Riverbank and Simply Divine Events, LLC, in conjunction with Simply Divine Foundation, 501c3, for the coordination of the 2022 Cheese and Wine Festival. I'll open it up for discussion.
So Sue Fitzpatrick, our Director of Parks and Recreation, will be providing the staff report on this item, as well as the following item, which is also related to our 2022 Cheese and Wine Festival.
You tell me she was in there. Sue, would you come forward?
Yes, I'm here.
I apologize, Sue. They didn't tell me you were coming.
That's okay. Vice Mayor and members of the council, what I'd like to do is request approval tonight to move forward with the agreement with Simply Divine Events. We kind of talked about it in February a little bit, and I think we came to the consensus that that is what we'd like to do, is proceed with this contractor. And really, we went through the scope of services and the agreement that we had in place last year and made just a few changes. There was a proposal to increase the performance agreement amount from $20,000 to $25,000, which I think is reasonable, looking at the size of the festival and all the components that are involved. There's a lot of raised fees and things that have occurred. So the good thing about this performance agreement is the $25,000 that we pay the contractor is inclusive. There's not a lot of hidden costs like originally there was in past contracts. It's the $25,000, and that is what we pay for the festival to happen. And that $25,000 is paid for by fees that are generated by the festival. So there's no general fund request involved. In all the years that we've done, I think we've done the festival for 9 or 10 years now, it has been self-sufficient, and we expect that to be continued. The only other difference is the agreement that was set up last year is we were paying the contract in increments. This time, we're gonna wait until everything's settled at the end of the festival and then pay the contractor. And that works best for both sides.
What's the performance increase? What was it before?
It was 20,000 plus.
Yeah.
We had another, I think it was, what was it? A certain percentage over the revenue that was projected, which that didn't happen because we just barely broke even last year. So, it's about $5,000 difference.
And what's the reasoning to switch the, because I know we switch it for intervals for the payments, and there was a reason for that, so why are we reversing on that?
Basically, cash flow.
Okay.
It takes a while to build up that, and really what they collect is what we collect from them and then pay them. So it's a cash flow thing.
Okay.
So it works out better just to get everything collected, everything settled, and then we cut them a check at the end.
Sue, has the inflation affected the cost of a lot of the things with this program?
Yes, that has, but also it's just hard to get things. It's hard to get, it was hard to get the wine glasses. We were lucky to get them in time. There was some difficulty with just getting deliveries on time and things like that. So we're hoping that'll ease up a little bit this year, but it was the first year for this contractor as well. So this year should be much better and smoother, and having COVID maybe a little bit more behind us. We're expecting a really nice festival.
Had they made some of the changes that were noted by the public a few months ago?
Yes, we are working on a lot of the planning already, and one of the things that's going to come up next is the boundary map. You want me to proceed with the next item, or do you want to, well, I guess we need to decide if you want to approve the performance agreement to move forward and be signed.
Okay, any other discussion? Any comments from the audience? Then I bring it back to council.
I'll make a motion to approve item 11.4.
I'll second.
It's been noted by Councilmember Uribe and Councilmember Martinez for a motion, so let's take our vote.
Councilmember Uribe?
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Yes. Motion is passed. Go to item 11.5, under new business. Adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a lease with Simply Divine Events, LLC, for the area associated with the Riverbank Cheese and Wine Festival. It is recommended the City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a lease with Simply Divine Events, LLC, for the area associated with the Riverbank Cheese and Wine Festival. Bring it back to, should I have the public first?
Sue will be providing the staff report on this item
You
prior
didn't
to.
tell me she was going to do that.
Okay, so to answer your question too that you just asked about if we were going to address public concerns or requests, and one of them is the boundary map. For years, people have kind of wanted us to go back towards the community center building and have the wine tasting there. So we're going to try that this year. We're requesting council to take a look at this boundary map and see if there's any concerns, but we'd like to move forward with that. Also, people wanted the wine tasting experience to be improved. So Tamara's been working very hard on that, visiting wineries, talking to people on how to improve that area. And also things will be more readily available, we think, this year than they were last year due to coming out of COVID restrictions and things. But the map that we wanted to get approved tonight is changed a bit. Get it? So while we're waiting for that, basically we want to incorporate the downtown, but we also want to head back towards the community center and make use of our facility, because that's gonna save us a lot of money in one respect, and also the facility is so nice now, and it's larger. And so what we're hoping to do is start just past the museum, coming down Santa Fe and Second, and continue straight down to the community center, maybe have the dancing horses and things on this end of town, and then have the carnival and the car show, and then the cheese and wine tasting at the community center, as I mentioned, and then vendors going through residential like it used to be. And that brings in some logistical concerns, but we've met with the police and fire, we've walked the area, and we feel that we can make it work. We'll talk to residents, we'll let them know, because it has been a while since the festival has gone through the residential section. Now there are more requirements there used to be with fencing, the concrete blocks, things like that. So we've got that pretty much figured out, and it's risky to make any changes, but it's worth it. It might work out really well. If not, you know, when we come back and talk after the festival, we'll rethink it and, you know, come up with some other ideas, but we feel it's worth a try.
I've got a comment to ask you. I know that in the past, when we used to have it go down that direction, that a lot of the private homes were doing garage sales, and I think that upset some of the vendors. Have you looked at, are we going to allow that, or what's the procedure?
Yeah, we've talked about that. I think our plan is to visit each resident, and we have some time, and talk to them, and, you know, they are gonna be able to do some of that, but we wanna make sure we restrict it to where it's within our control. So we're hoping that won't be a real big issue. And if it is, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, but we're hoping that the residents will cooperate and just enjoy the festival with us. And that's pretty much how it was for the most part. There was some problems in the past, because I was here when we did have the festival down that route, and there were a few problems, but for many years there weren't a lot. So hopefully it will be okay.
Thank you.
Looking at the boundary map here, though, it's kind of hard to see, but the yellow area is outlined, and that's where the fencing would be, because we do have to have fencing, since we will allow alcohol to be in that area. But the pink area on both the east and the west side, those are kind of more soft barriers, where there'll be a soft street closure, but the actual festival boundary will be in the yellow area. There'll be a car show, there'll be a carnival, then the vendors. Like I said, there'll be 2 stages, there'll be 3 entrances. And so we're thinking maybe this boundary map might be a good thing to try, and the community might enjoy that. So are there any questions? Or there's another map here. I don't know if I can get that up.
I don't know if it's a question, but yeah, I'm totally for this. I'm sure it's logistics, and you guys will probably have already talked about it. So we have invested into the community center, so I'm excited to see us actually taking advantage of that, doing the whole, the cheese and wine tasting stuff in there. Hopefully the craft beer's sticking around. Hint, hint. Just kidding. But as far as, so it's looking like the entrance is gonna be from the south side there of the park. Am I correct here?
Yeah, well, there'll be 3 entrances, and those are in red. You can see both there'll be an entrance on...
Sorry, I apologize. I'm talking about just specifically for the community center. I'm assuming that's going to be an entrance from the south side only for that event, right? Because there's nothing else gated from the north side there.
No, and this helps a little bit, this other map. Oh, it just went away. Oh. This one maybe helps a little bit, but yeah, the entrance to the wine tasting will be at the front of the community center. We may actually veer out to the outer area and have a fence around an area, because that will give us more room to do craft beer or whatever we decide to do. But yeah, the entrance will be at the entrance of the community center. Yeah.
And then I am excited to see the dinner come back. That was a great idea. I'm hopefully maybe like an indoor event or indoor setting. I really want to see that come back. So thank you to Sue, and thank you to Tamara for everything you're doing.
Any other questions for the council?
Just a quick comment. I would like to see more local cheese companies I mean, they're not, you don't hear that, you know, there's a local cheese vendor out, so I'd just like to have more publicity for that. If we can
Okay.
do that, so people know that they're there,
Right.
supporting us.
I have one last comment. Are we going to be renting any of the other halls, like down at the other end of town that we used to have to do the wine and cheese in and whatnot?
No, the Antigua is very beautiful and was very, very nice. I let them know we aren't going to because I know they always set it aside for us. I let them know we're going to just use the community center this time.
Well, that's a huge savings for us too.
It is a savings, but it was very nice, and that doesn't mean we might not go back to that or incorporate that as well, because it is a very nice venue too. But our community center is nice, and it's free, so it's good.
Any more questions? Okay, then I'll bring it back to council.
Make a motion, we approve item, where we at?
11.5.
11.5?
I'll second it.
It's been motioned and second by Councilmember Martinez and Councilmember Uribe that we take a vote on this motion.
Councilmember Porter Martinez,
Yes.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
We're going to move into comments and report, item 12 now. A brief report on notable attendance of a meeting or conference or other notable topics of city business shall be made. The Brown Act does not allow for discussion or action of items by the City Council, LRA Board during this time. So we'll start with staff.
The mayor, just one comment from me, wanting to continue to invite all the residents of Riverbank to our next Centennial Carnival. So our Founders Day Carnival, which will be on April 30th, that will be at the Community Center from 12 to 5 p.m. It is free to all of the residents who would like to join us that day. I would like to invite Donna Kinney to the podium for some comments that she will be making.
Hello. I would like to share that YAFT, which is the Young Adults Fighting Tobacco, YAB, the Young Adult Advisory Board, the Sierra Club, and Stanislaus Climate Action Now are planning to come to the Community Center Park on Saturday, May 14th at 9:30 to pick up cigarette butts and trash in the surrounding streets. This will be from 10 to 2. There will be about 30 youth total involved, and they are hoping they can get at least one council member to come out for a photo and to say a couple words before they begin. Thank you.
And then we'll have Michael Rydell, our Director of Public Works, who has also some comments for council.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council. So I wanted to give a little bit of update first on the force main on Roselle that, as you all know, has now become a lingering project. There has been some issues between the contractor and the developer, which now have been resolved. So you will actively see this project coming back to life again, and we hope to be out of that particular project by mid-May. What will be coming up, and we will obviously apprise the public, is we will have to close down Westgate, that first section, in order to bypass that lift station so we can go in and install all the new pump railings and piping. And that will take place starting April the 25th. The second thing was I was kind of giving you a little bit of a note on the Public Works building. We have this ordered. I had to go through the arduous task of picking out colors. I'm not a very good color selector, so you're going to get what you get, right? But that's everything squared away there. I have handed that off to our new Public Works Superintendent, and Darren Smallman's been running with that project and doing an excellent job. So we hope to have that building in and ready to be occupied end of July, 1st of August.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Donna, for your comments. That concludes staff comments. Oh.
I meant to tell you that my staff will be available, boss, to move you into your right office tomorrow.
Thank you. That does conclude staff comments for tonight.
Okay. We'll start with the council authority members. Councilmember Reby, you have anything to say?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So I'm going to actually vent a little bit. So I actually got an update about the modular home and where that whole thing is going on. For those kind of paying attention, the modular home is it's supposed to be the laundry service that we're going to be providing for our homeless at our new Sierra home. And it's just quote, the paperwork is in review, and it's been in review for almost 2 months. So we're giving them time, we're giving them, we're being patient and stuff like that, but our homeless are losing confidence in us, and that's not a good thing, right? So we're gonna reach out to our supervisors again. I know we indirectly asked them at the State of the City. I know the mayor did, but we're gonna formally ask them if they can kind of help us out, give us an update, and see what the delay is. It's pushing the project for the construction of the home, and I think it's long overdue. Secondly, State of the City for Modesto, I will be attending that. I know Mayor Swallen attended us, so I'm gonna return the favor and show her some support there as well. So I'll be attending that. Anybody that would be interested in going, it's at the Modesto Center Plaza. Doors open at 11:30, and the event begins at 12:15. And finally, the Glow Egg Hunt is going to be at Castleberg Park, so you guys can even see the renovations happening. I know the event's a little bit later. It's going to be for ages 13 to 17. It's going to be glow-in-the-dark hunting for the kids. It's going to be from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on April 16th, this Saturday. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Councilmember Fernandez?
As a quick reminder, Love River Bank is not happening this year, but it's not without doing some of the work this year to implement some sustainable planning for fund development, marketing, et cetera, into the next year. We've mentioned Stanislaus 2030 before, and there's going to be a community meeting in Riverbank. The location and date are to be announced, but I did want to just plant the seed now to make sure that you know that you're all invited to come and attend.
Councilmember Martinez?
The Stanislaus Homeless Alliance meeting is tomorrow, Wednesday, the 13th, and it's open to the public. It's at 1010 10th Street. It starts at 5:30, usually ends at 7:30. And just want to mention about our recent rain. It has been a welcome sight to see, but I'm just asking everyone to be conscious of the damage that a spark can cause, the fire and so forth. And then thank you to my fellow council members for filling in for me. And I'm glad to be back. Don't know for how long, but I am glad to be back. Missed you guys too. So
good to have you back.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to see in our community more participation in some of our nonprofits. We have several nonprofits that are faltering because membership just isn't there, and they do good things. Like our women's club does a lot of good things, but again, no new people are coming in, and the others are just getting old, like me. And the Historic Society is looking for docents, and we can't open it for people to visit if we don't have the docents there and can't train them. The building's in very good shape. We're going to be putting new carpet in, and I believe, I think it's carpet or laminate, one of the two in the spring, and it's going to look better for that than where the carpet is there now. So look at our website, and you'll find other nonprofits. And nonprofits do a lot for the city, and they need the help of the residents. And if you do it, you get a sense of satisfaction. So I would encourage our public to get out there and try to build our nonprofits up. And that's all I've got to say. Okay, at this point, we are going to go to closed session. Public will have a limit of 3 minutes to comment on closed session items as set forth on the agenda prior to the City Council LRA Board recessing to closed session. Do we have any comments from the audience?
Vice Mayor, if you'd like to officially read the title of item 13.1.
Sure. Item 13.1, Conference with Labor Negotiators, is what we'll be discussing tonight. If there are no comments then, I'm going to convene us for a closed session. Donna, nice work. I forgot to thank you. My head's We're going to reconvene to report from closed session on item 13.1, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, agency representative, interim city manager Maricela Garcia, employee organization, Riverbank miscellaneous employees. What's that? Direction was provided. And on that particular motion then, I'm going to adjourn us. This next regular council city meeting will be April 26th, 2022 at 6 p.m.